The bill is adopted, is due passed.
And with that vote in the Joint Budget Committee yesterday, plans for a new prison in Franklin County continue to move forward. The prospect, though, for a new 3,000-bed prison north of Charleston is not sitting well with people who live nearby. Last night, we told you about a Native American tribe claiming the site of where that prison is supposed to go sits on their ancestors' burial ground. But the governor's office is saying that tribe is not federally or even state recognized. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer is digging into both groups' claims.
Well, there's not a question about us being here.
Chief Jimmie Kersh says the Franklin County prison site is land the Chickamauga Nation used to occupy. It was granted to them by Thomas Jefferson in the early 1800s.
The prison's going on top of our ancestors that are buried there. And so it's not just being ugly. It's people need to understand what's going on.
Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders' office told 5 News that this is an absurd claim based on a group that is not recognized by the state or federal government, and this claim's only purpose is to try and derail the Franklin County prison.
Well, the governor is halfway correct, but she's also halfway wrong. We are not on the list of federally recognized tribes, but we are federally recognized.
Kersh says the tribe is federally recognized under U.S. jurisdiction in 2 different acts of Congress and through 22 treaties with the U.S. government.
We're under the jurisdiction of the United States since 1785. We're a federally recognized tribe according to the Indian Reorganization Act.
He says the comment felt like history was repeating itself.
It was disparaging, and it showed a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding and a lack of empathy. We have suffered from genocide, and that felt like a continuation of the slap in the face of the genocide.
They're now trying to bring the cultural significance of the site to the forefront.
We, as the community, have found historically and culturally significant artifacts dating back at least to 6000 BC that the state may not be aware of.
In Franklin County, covering news where you live, Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
The Department of Corrections sent us a quote on the matter saying, in part, concerns of a possible Native American gravesite were expressed early in the process. The department has been mindful of that as preliminary assessments of the site have been completed. No evidence of a burial site has been found to date, end quote.
Today wasn't a bad day, a little bit breezy at times. Those winds have slowly relaxed this evening. What about tomorrow? Well, we're going to be dropping into the upper 30s, low 40s tonight. If you have early morning plans, you'll want those long sleeves, but by lunchtime, in Northwest Arkansas, we're sitting right there in those upper 60s. Eventually, we'll make it into the 70s tomorrow afternoon. Let's call it a partly cloudy to at times mostly cloudy day. More sunshine early. Clouds probably build in later in the evening. In the River Valley, we'll hold on to that sunshine a little bit later. 67 by noon. By 5 o'clock, we're still sitting in those upper 70s. Should feel really nice out there. But by around this time tomorrow evening, Futurecast brings a couple of thunderstorms to the area. A couple of these very well could be on the strong side. Wouldn't rule out severe weather entirely, although that looks to be on the low end of things. We'll put this into motion a little bit further, what it means for your Sunday forecast, all coming up here in just a few. Once we get past Sunday, we've got spring break on tap for next week. What's the weather going to be like? We'll have that forecast for you coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Scott, thanks. New at 10 tonight, we're learning boxing legend and businessman George Foreman has died. Foreman's family announcing his death on social media, calling him a devout preacher, a devoted husband, and a loving father. A native Texan, Foreman began his boxing career as an Olympic gold medalist who inspired fear as he climbed the peak of the heavyweight division. His success continued after his boxing career, becoming the face of the George Foreman Grill. Foreman was 76 years of age. Also new tonight, the Bentonville School District is mourning the loss of Bentonville High School principal Jack Lloyd. According to the district, Lloyd passed away last night. The district says Lloyd, who served as principal for almost 10 years, died because of an undisclosed illness. District says they will miss him beyond measure and will share celebration of life arrangements at a very near future. Right now, one person is in custody after a stabbing at a Barling motel. Police rushed out to the Emily Inn along Fort Street this afternoon. There they found a man with a stab wound to his chest. No word on his condition, but police say they have a person in custody. They say more information may be released when available. An Elkins man will now spend 30 years in prison for his role in a 2023 murder in Fayetteville. 21-year-old Dominic Heel was sentenced for the murder of Evayan Smith, as well as 26 other charges, including gun, drug, and property crimes. Prosecutors say Heel and another person stole a minivan from the driveway of a home on Mockingbird Lane in Fayetteville. 3 days later, officers responded to a shooting. They say Smith had already been taken to the hospital where he later died. Weeks after the shooting, investigators found the stolen minivan abandoned and partially burned in a rural area. They say Heel later admitted to firing a gun out of the sunroof of the van towards Smith. They also say he admitted to dumping and burning the van to hide evidence. Benton County Sheriff's Office honoring fallen Detective Paul Newell today. They're renaming a portion of Walton Boulevard to Detective Paul Newell Memorial Highway. Newell died in a crash in the line of duty while escorting the Wreaths Across America procession in Bentonville. He had been with the Sheriff's Office since 1998 and served multiple roles in his 24 years of service, including in the Criminal Investigations Division. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders signing 2 bills this week that strengthen protection of minors from sex crimes. One bill expands the requirements to register a sex offender in Arkansas for life. If the offender is over 24 years of age and the victim is under 15, lifetime registration is required. Another bill changes the definition of a child from anyone under 17 to anyone under 18 years old. Previously, a person accused of distributing or having sexually explicit content of a minor could claim they believe the person was 17 or older. Senator Missy Irvin, the bill's sponsor, says the new law makes it harder for defendants to use that claim to their advantage and will change how explicit images in these cases are viewed in court.
When a child has been a victim of any type of sexual abuse, sexual assault, and they really become re-traumatized during the court proceedings, particularly when any images are being presented or discussed or talked about.
Benton County Prosecutor Brian Sexton says he believes the new laws will help make easier decisions in these cases. Tonight, the State Department of Education being sued over changes to the Arkansas School for the Deaf and Blind. Changes would combine the 2 schools into one, and they say they're based on a survey from December of 2023. But plaintiffs in this suit say the survey was too long, vaguely worded, and not accessible to blind and deaf people.
The survey itself did not have what are called auxiliary aids. They did not have any American Sign Language functioning or any type of voice recognition or any type of audio component, which would have made it available to Arkansans who are deaf and blind.
We did reach out to the Department of Ed, but were told they could not comment on ongoing litigation. A week after the deportation of hundreds of Venezuelan men, the legal disputes have grown into a much different battle. Today, the president told reporters he has the authority to invoke the Alien Enemies Act, it's a 19th century statute, to deport migrants without due process. But in court this afternoon, a federal judge blasted the administration for ignoring his order to turn the planes around mid-flight and keep the Venezuelan men accused of being a part of gangs locked up in the U.S. until he could review their cases. More court hearings in this case expected to start again next week. Oklahoma has carried out another execution. Wendell Grissom died by lethal injection today for the 2005 murder of Amber Matthews. Before his execution, Grissom said he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time of the killing and asked the victims' families to forgive him. Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond called Matthews' killing a, quote, textbook death penalty case. Marks the first execution of the year in Oklahoma. Flights have slowly restarted at Heathrow Airport in London after a fire at a substation forced thousands of cancellations. As Wendy Gillette reports, investigators don't consider the fire suspicious, but the impacts are likely to last through the weekend.
That's a biggie.
A bus passenger riding past an electrical substation 2 miles from London's Heathrow Airport correctly characterized the size of the fire there that started Thursday night. big enough to shut down Europe's busiest hub.
The fire involved a transformer comprising of 25,000 litres of cooling oil fully alight. This created a major hazard due to the still live high voltage equipment and the nature of the oil-fueled fire.
This is totally random.
A Heathrow passenger captured the empty halls of the airport without power and shut down most of Friday.
Heathrow Airport is closed.
Flights started landing again just before sunset, but the ripple effect extends to airports in the U.S., including at Newark Liberty in New Jersey, where the British Airways counters were unstaffed, leaving stranded passengers with no answers.
We just were told almost nothing. I was here in this airport until 2 a.m. this morning.
Some passengers on their way to London were turned back around, including a Boston flight.
We went 3 hours over and 3 hours back, so the flight was the same amount of time. I just didn't end up where I wanted to be.
Heathrow is one of the busiest airports in the world, servicing almost 84 million passengers last year. The issue caused the cancellations of hundreds of flights. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.